Haiti's collapse in 2025 isn't just about politics, poverty, or corruption. It's about a country where kidnapping has evolved into a full-blown economy. A dark system so deeply entrenched that entire communities now live as pawns in a business of fear. In August, this grim reality hit a breaking point, with the numbers and stories proving what Haitians have known for years. Kidnapping here is no longer shocking, it's expected. The United Nations confirmed that more than 3,100 people were slaughtered by armed groups in just the first half of 2025. And alongside that staggering death toll came another epidemic: abductions. Kidnapping has become the heartbeat of Haiti's criminal underworld, a routine horror that touches every corner of society. Parents, shopkeepers, teachers, and aid workers all know someone who has been taken, and that normalization is the most chilling part. This is no longer a crime of opportunity, this is business. The gangs behind this wave of terror have perfected their strategy. Once, kidnappings focused on wealthy elites or foreigners, with massive ransoms that drew headlines. But in 2025, the game shifted. Now, gangs target everyday Haitians, street vendors, drivers, school teachers, because their ransoms are smaller, faster to collect, and virtually guaranteed. A family can scrape together $200, $500, or $1,000 by borrowing from relatives, pawning valuables, or emptying what little savings they have. And that's exactly the point. By lowering the ransom bar, gangs created a kidnapping conveyor belt. More victims, more money, less risk. This kidnap economy thrives because it's brutally efficient. Families pay because they have no choice, and every ransom funds more guns, more recruits, and more control. Victims often find themselves targeted again once they've proven they can pay. Communities now live under permanent siege, trapped in a cycle of extortion disguised as survival. The model has scaled so effectively that entire neighborhoods are held hostage, not figuratively, but literally. August marked a terrifying escalation. Gangs moved into zones once considered safe havens, targeting churches, schools, and aid workers. Humanitarian convoys were hijacked, clinics looted, and charity staff kidnapped. In some areas, gangs demanded protection fees from NGOs to operate at all. This meant even food deliveries and medical care, the last fragile lifelines for Haiti's poorest, became bargaining chips in a criminal empire. Haitians are no longer protected by aid. They're negotiating for it. The United Nations declared Haiti's security situation catastrophic, yet solutions remain stalled. CARICOM leaders met with the UN to push forward a delayed multinational support mission led by Kenya, a mission approved but stuck in bureaucracy while Haitians died. On the ground, the state's collapse was undeniable. The Haitian National Police, starved of fuel, weapons, and manpower, had abandoned entire neighborhoods. Police stations stood empty, while gangs patrolled streets, imposed curfews, and even collected their own version of taxes. Port-au-Prince, the nation's capital, was no longer a functioning city. It was a patchwork of gang territories, each run like a private kingdom. For regular Haitians, survival is a daily calculation. Parents have stopped sending their children to school because walking outside is a gamble with their lives. Business owners shutter their shops early to avoid being kidnapped on their way home. Doctors refuse night shifts. Hospitals report staffing shortages because even medical professionals are terrified of being abducted. Every sector of Haitian society is breaking under this pressure. Education is collapsing, businesses are shutting down, healthcare is faltering, the country's very infrastructure is crumbling under a criminal business model, and the financial toll is devastating. Families sell property, drain savings, and rely on remittances from relatives abroad to pay ransoms. Money that should build futures is now buying freedom. Small businesses close, communities become impoverished, and once a family pays, they're branded as capable and often kidnapped again. The economy itself is bleeding out, and gangs are growing richer. By August, more than 600,000 Haitians had been displaced by gang violence this year alone, according to the International Organization for Migration. Families abandoned entire neighborhoods, fleeing to overcrowded shelters or moving between relatives' homes. Some risked crossing the border into the Dominican Republic, while others braved the dangerous sea route to Florida and other Caribbean islands. Haiti's crisis isn't contained within its borders, it's destabilizing the entire region. And yet, the world seems to look away until a foreigner is taken. Haitians note bitterly that hundreds of local kidnappings barely register in international media, while the abduction of a single foreign aid worker earlier in the year dominated headlines. The disparity is infuriating because Haitians live in this nightmare every single day. The documentation exists. reports from the UN, NGOs, and Haitian journalists, but outrage only spikes when outsiders are involved. Still, August brought a wave of defiance from within. Parents protested near schools, demanding protection for their children. Churches used sermons to condemn the gangs. Local radio programs gave voice to families crushed under ransom payments. Human rights groups released damning reports, forcing a conversation that the world can no longer ignore. The violence hasn't stopped, but Haitians are refusing to suffer silently. Experts warn that Haiti is crossing a dangerous threshold where kidnapping is no longer just a criminal act. It's an institution, as organized and entrenched as drug trafficking. Dismantling it won't be a matter of arresting gang leaders. It will require rebuilding a shattered state, restoring trust in law enforcement, and creating real economic opportunities. That's not a short-term fix, it's a generational battle. For ordinary Haitians, though, the urgency is immediate. Imagine sending your child to school knowing they could be snatched at any moment. Imagine borrowing from relatives abroad, not to grow a business but to buy your own freedom. Imagine a country where the question isn't if a kidnapping will happen, but who's next? That's Haiti's August reality. The collapse is spilling outward. The Dominican Republic has fortified its border, fearful of the crisis crossing over in full. Caribbean leaders warn of migration waves that could destabilize fragile economies nearby. The United States, already dealing with record numbers of Haitian migrants at its southern border, faces growing pressure to intervene. But Washington is hesitant, scarred by past interventions that solved little and left resentment behind. Meanwhile, remittances from the Haitian diaspora, once a lifeline, are being drained into ransom payments. A Haitian nurse in Miami might send half her paycheck to save a cousin. A construction worker in Montreal might pawn his tools to help a kidnapped nephew. The diaspora's money no longer fuels education or business, it buys temporary safety, and that in turn weakens the broader Haitian economy even further. Think about it, gangs now keep spreadsheets. Who is paid, who can pay again, which relatives live abroad. They track victims like customers. Hostages are sometimes released with instructions. We'll be back when you can pay more. It's systematic, almost corporate. Some gangs even outsource negotiations, using middlemen who specialize in ransom talks. Others live-stream proof-of-life videos to pressure families into quicker payments. Technology has sharpened the blade of fear. This isn't random violence anymore, it's structured business. And like any industry, it adapts. If ransom money slows, gangs expand into new territories, extorting businesses, hijacking aid trucks, even taxing neighborhoods for protection. But kidnapping remains the backbone, because nothing is more profitable than fear. Every time the world looks away, the gangs grow stronger. Every time negotiations drag, another community pays. Silence doesn't just ignore the crisis, it finances it. Haitians know this too well, and yet they keep speaking, keep protesting, keep demanding that their suffering be seen, because silence is exactly what the gangs want. This is more than a national tragedy, it's a warning to the world. When governments collapse, when police forces disintegrate, and when citizens are abandoned, crime doesn't just rise, it organizes. It professionalizes. It becomes the economy itself. Haiti has already reached that point, and August 2025 made it clear, this is no longer a crisis waiting to explode, it already has. And if you want the world to keep watching, if you believe stories like this matter, that voices from Haiti and other forgotten crises deserve to be heard, hit subscribe, stay informed, and share this story. Because this fight isn't over, and silence only strengthens the cycle of fear.